Please welcome Rick Beato, Tim Pierce, and Mattyas.
Thank you. That was pretty funny. It's like a rock concert without instruments. So, in 2015, I was going to a school board meeting at my kid's school. I was on the school board, and I say to my wife, or I say to my son Dylan, I'm like, Dylan, come on downstairs for a second. I want to make a video real quick. And he's like, I don't want to. He was 8. I was like, no, come on, just take 1 minute. No, I don't want to. He has a whole mouth full of candy and stuff. He's eating some Skittles or whatever. And I say to my wife, I'm like, Nina, will you tell Dylan to come downstairs? What do you need this for? I was like, I want to show my friend Shane's wife. He said, make a video of Dylan doing his perfect pitch thing so I can show my wife. All right, it'll just take 1 minute. Okay, so we go down the stairs. My studio's in my basement. I don't know, it's not a secret, but where I film, you guys that watch my channel, that's where it is, my basement. So I put my iPhone up on the thing, and Dylan sits there, and I was like, okay, and I just do this video. And I put it up on Facebook, my personal Facebook page, and I call my friend Shane. I'm like, hey, I put it up for so Angie can see it, the Dylan video. Okay, great. So I go to the school board meeting. I drive back, and Shane calls me. He's like, it's a viral video. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, it's got 5,000 views. And I was like, is 5,000 views a viral video? He goes, well, you only have like 20 followers on Facebook. I was like, it doesn't sound like a viral video to me. He goes, wait till tomorrow morning. So I wake up, and Shane calls me. He's like, dude, it's a viral video. It's got 22,000 views. I'm like, Shane, 22,000 views? It's not a viral video. These videos get millions of views. He goes, wait till tonight. And that night, it started getting like 100,000 views an hour on Facebook. Like insane. It was kind of, and I was like, Shane, that's a viral video. So that was December 15th, 2015. Now, I had really never posted anything on the internet. I followed YouTube. I watched Tim's videos. And I used to use YouTube to send videos to my mom, who passed away in 2016. But from 2006 on, that was the only way you could send videos to people, is you would just post it up there and put a URL, and my mom, who was in her 80s, I'd send her the thing, here's video. So it was just videos of my kids. And then this one, and the video of Dylan, I didn't put on there on YouTube. So it was all this stuff was on Facebook. But then I put the video on YouTube, and I came back a couple days later, and it had millions of views on YouTube. But I only had about 40 subscribers when I started, or at that time. And then 6 months later is when I made my first video on YouTube. But the only reason that I got on YouTube was because Tim was on there, and I watched his videos. And because Tim is a pro and one of my favorite guitarists in the world was doing it, I was like, if Tim can do it, then it's a cool thing. And it gave me the permission or whatever. I was like, okay, my friends aren't gonna think, oh, it's cheesy to do this or whatever. And I put up videos basically to answer the questions of the people that wanted to know how I taught my son the music theory that he knew in these videos. Now, Mattyas, and these guys are going to talk after that. I'll be done talking. Mattyas was the rock star, is the rock star on Instagram. Okay. Now, Mattyas is a phenomenal player. He's one of the few guys that can take what he does on Instagram, and he is a star on stage, an incredible player. He is just so far above and beyond. I have a lot of other friends that play in this group, but Mattyas he's the guy, right? So I started watching his videos when I wanted to learn. I was like, I don't understand this Instagram thing. And I would watch Mattyas's videos, everything, and I was like, God, this guy has it down. So I was like, okay, on Instagram, you make short form playing content, because Instagram's for musicians. And I finally met Mattyas, and we talked about this kind of stuff, and I started posting these things, quick lessons on there. It was like, okay, what can you convey in 30 seconds? You can teach somebody something, one concept in 30 seconds. That was my thing. And so that was my introduction. These guys are both so influential to me, and I want to thank them in front of all of you, because it's without them as being my guide in these platforms, and those are my two main platforms, are YouTube and Instagram. So guys, thank you. Okay, now you guys can talk.
Okay, so I'll quickly give you my origin story, say a couple of things, and then hand it off to Mattyas. So I moved to LA in 1980. My love of music comes from listening to pop radio in the 60s. It comes from songs rather than guitar. I started working right away. I worked for 4 decades as a session musician. It was a great job. It still is a great job. Well, it's not as great as it used to be. So we were celebrated. We were very well paid. It was a wonderful thing. And then in the early 2000s, this thing started happening where I was getting asked to work twice as many hours for half the money, okay? So this is just a blunt, I'm trying to get you from A to Z really, really quickly. And I thought, how do I keep myself off the street? I met Marty Schwartz, he was encouraging. He and Justin Sanderco were the big guitar teachers on YouTube 14 years ago. They owned it, it was easy, they just owned it. And when I realized, oh, I could actually sell digital educational products and keep myself off the street, I'm gonna try this. And once I tried it, I started to like it. And just like you, at first, it was cringeworthy. You see yourself on camera. And so for all of you who are thinking of doing this, give yourself a couple of years of embarrassment and shame when you do these videos, because it takes a while. You know, and so I did it, and when COVID hit, the business kind of blew up. And now I have this wonderful business with 4 employees, 1 full-time, 3 part-time, and I keep the team small, and I work short hours 7 days a week, but this actual chapter of my life is a happier music experience than the first one. The first one was filled with a lot of pressure, worked really hard. You have to, you know, as a studio musician, you have to deliver instantly all the time. There's no downtime. You have to dig from a deep well of ideas that sometimes are not even there. So I like this job. I was telling the guys, I feel like in this era, as a musician, if you don't exist on social media, if you don't exist visually, you actually don't exist. So if you're in this realm and you're thinking about it, just make sure you do something visually so that those who are looking for you will be able to find you.
Amazing. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mattyas. I just love hearing your experiences, because in a way we're kind of talking a little bit of like 2 generations. So I am like the last years of a millennial. So I'm from, you know, I'm 31 years old. And so to me, when it comes to, you know, the social media and recording yourself, it wasn't something that I found initially like, oh, this is cringy, you know? To me, it was more like, oh, this is actually cool, you know? I have a camera, and I had this more of like the narcissistic sort of thing, I would say. Young guys, I don't know. So everything started to me, and I love what you mentioned about, you know, for you sharing, you know, the videos to your mom. So for me, it was kind of in a way, in a similar way, because, so here's my story. I moved to the United States in 2013 to study music at Musicians Institute. So I was 19 years old, and Facebook was a thing. Instagram was just for Apple users. I still remember that. Then it became open for the Android users. So anyway, so Facebook was kind of my go-to place. And what I used Facebook was to share videos of myself and to post it so my family members, my friends from Brazil could watch my development as a music student back in 2013. Oh, I forgot to mention that the reason I moved to the United States was to study music at MI. I think I actually mentioned about it, but anyways. So I used that more as a journal. It was just like, and I love, this is, you know, comparing to the way how it is nowadays, because I feel like everything is intentionally, oh, we have to find that X factor, the viral point, you know, like make a silly face or like a crazy fast run or whatever. So for me, it was more, you know, organically of, okay, I want to just record myself, you know, this week because I just want to remember. I want to go back to those videos and be like, oh wow, I was playing like this and now I don't know, got better at my vibrato, my bendings, or anyways. So it got to a point where everybody talks about it, which is consistency is the key. So non-intentionally, I was doing that, and after a couple of months later, Instagram was starting to open more sources. So for those who don't remember, Instagram initially was just for photos, just photos. Then they opened for videos. And I remember I was like, this is just a matter of time. They're gonna open for videos. And as soon as they start that, I'm just gonna go in.
15 seconds.
15 seconds first. So I still remember when they opened that, you know, when they updated for that thing. So I used that as a homework, everything, because again, I was in a, you know, college mindset, so everything for me was the homework. So I used that in a way of like, okay, how can transform my Facebook videos, which, you know, there was like 3-minute videos, whatever, like a regular song length, to 15 seconds. So intentionally, I was just trying to convert that, transform that Facebook format to the Instagram format. So I was just using that in a way, and I'm just gonna try to use this as an analogy, kind of like how you say about investments. You know, you have real estate, you have crypto, you have watches, you have fancy guitars. So I kind of used that way, you know, in the same sense. So I was like, I cannot just invest on Facebook. I always have to, you know, share the eggs in different, you know, places. So I ended up using that towards my favorite. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep doing what I was doing on Facebook, but now moving to Instagram. And that's how like my journey started in a way. And thankfully, that was very good for me because you know, I speak English is my second language, so I'm not an extrovert. So I ended up using my Instagram as my professional card. You know, I was like, hey, I don't know, let's just trade profiles anyway. So check it out. So people would go on my Instagram and then would be like, hey man, I love your videos and blah blah blah. Which, by the way, my first gig ever in the United States was to play guitar for this singer-songwriter named Tori Kelly. And I did an audition, like a regular audition, you know, playing with the band, going with the musical directors, doing all the, you know, analysis. But my extra point was the social media. So after she watched all the guitar players, she went on all Instagram profiles of the guys, and then she was like, I like this guy. So thankfully, social media was a thing, and I'm talking about 2015, and social media has been a great source for my journey, for my career, and yes, so that's how it's been.
So when people ask me, Rick, how do I promote my band? Rick, how do I use social media to promote a product? Or what do I use it for? And this is now with the advent of things like AI and they're going to have AI influencers and all this stuff, and it's like, and people are worried about all this, and I was like, there's these distribution platforms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, whatever it is, that have worldwide distribution for anyone for free, okay? This is the best time to be a musician, I assume. I mean, everybody's here for music, so we'll talk about this is the best time to be a musician or to learn about music, because everything is available on the internet. Now, whether it's right or not is another thing, right? You go to your trusted sources. I asked my son Dylan, hey, what's the, what do you think about this? And he'll be like, well, how many TikTok likes does it have? I'm like, what are you talking about? How many TikToks like? That's the measure? And that's the measure for a 17-year-old. Like, if it's got enough likes on TikTok, it must be true or something. It's like, I don't think that things actually work that way, Dylan. But okay, if that's what you think, it's fine. But one of the things about doing this is the curation, the personal curation, if you will, of like, is this idea a good idea? No matter what it is. I'll just use my own thing, my own experience. Like, if I'm making a video about something, I really look at it as like, is this good? And then I'll ask one of my, my assistant, Tom, or whatever, is this good? And then Tom will say, oh, yeah, oh, it's great. And I'll be, come on, Tom, is it good? Well, I wouldn't watch it, but okay. That's what I want to hear. Or I'll have my son Dylan come down, one of his friends is over, and I'll be like, Dylan, watch this. And then I watch them watching it, and it'll be like some countdown video. And they're like, yeah, it's good. It's like, you guys look totally bored. Yeah, I guess it's not that good. And then I'll reshoot it or I'll just abandon it, right? Now, not every idea that you come up with, and Tim can attest to this, is worth making a video about it. Not everything you play is worth putting out there. It's the same thing if you're making a record, is that you have to really be self-critical, but not to the point where you never put anything out, right? You don't want to be paralyzed by, oh, it's not perfect. I make plenty of videos. I did this video on this Alan Holdsworth tune the other day. Now, I haven't played guitar in about 3 months, and this is this impossible Holdsworth tune, non-brewed condiment, that I was trying to play. And I knew, I'd never figured it out before, but I knew I could figure it out. But I knew, because I didn't have the chops, because I've been playing for a few weeks, that I wasn't going to be able to play it. But I made the video anyways to show, like, okay, here's how you actually play it. Now, if I waited 3 weeks, I could actually play along with the thing, or a week or whatever of practicing every day. But it's like, who cares? It doesn't matter that I couldn't play it. It was actually funnier that I played it slow, and then I tried to play it, and then I did a little clip of a guy ice skating in his underwear in Amsterdam, and then he face plants into the ice. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, so that was me face planting on the trying to play along with Alan. But these things about, is this thing worth doing? And being actually honest with yourself. It's the same if you're making your own songs. Is this song really good enough to put out? Is this the best melody it can be? Is this the best lyric? And going around to people that aren't just going to tell you what you want to hear, trying to find people that are honest, that will give you their honest opinion, is incredibly important. Tim?
Before I commit to an idea, sometimes I'll pause for a couple of days, because when I commit, it's a lot of hours. And it's going to turn out the way it turns out, whether it's a great idea or not. So I have to be sure as I can, that what I'm about to pour myself into is a great idea. Sometimes I wait a couple of days and just kick stuff around. Now, just like you, in December I didn't play much guitar, and I had this Paul Rivera video. I interviewed him, and I got one of his amps, and it was time to do the video. I didn't have much skill on the guitar after being off of it for December. So there was a solo to play, and I couldn't really burn one down instantly. So on a Monday, I composed the solo lick by lick, so it ended up being a written solo. In another, season of the year would have been just off the cuff. It can happen quickly, so don't get me wrong, I can improvise. But this, I couldn't do anything hardly. So the first day, I filmed the solo 73 times. And that was me getting lick by lick, lick by lick, lick by lick, still not there. The second day, I filmed 43 times. I got 9/10 of the solo, and then punched in with a filmed edit. Don't tell anybody. The last couple of licks. So there's lots of ways to do stuff, but it's not an easy thing, and don't expect it to be easy. Now, you guys are talking about, well, you're talking about AI, and I know, Mattyas, you commit greatly to the stuff that you make, and you don't quit until it's right. I know that, you know, and you can talk about that. But we're here to talk a little bit about AI, and it's going to become more and more pervasive. And to me, there's no difference in using AI than if I take a Steely Dan song and I kind of grab 2 or 3 of the chords, and then I take 2 or 3 of the chords from my favorite Earth, Wind & Fire song, and then I change the tempo and change the key, and then now I have my own song. It's no different than that to me. So I think it's a good tool for everybody to use. I think the trick is then to show people something original, and whatever you used to gain, you know, to make your piece of art, people have been borrowing since the beginning of time. So it's just another way of borrowing. That being said, it's kind of frightening how good some of these AI tracks are. So I think it's a positive thing. Lastly, before I hand it off, yes, Mattyas is the new generation, right? And you have to be an entrepreneur. And musicians have always worked double shifts, always. It's something people don't talk much about, partly because they love it, but partly that's what it takes to actually exist in this world. I mean, you play on a session, then you go home and you write something, and then there's, you know, some software to learn, and then you're getting on a plane to go somewhere and do a gig somewhere, and you're working every weekend. This has always been the case. But these days, you have to add into that recipe social media and being an entrepreneur and putting yourself out there. It's just another element that you have to add in, and another part of your double shift.
Wow. That's amazing. So when it comes to the creative process, I love what you're just saying, because I saw the other day this image about everything it was just like a subject about the creative process. It always starts, this is amazing, and then it goes to, I'm not so sure, and then it goes, this sucks, and then it goes to, this is amazing again. So it's always like that, you know? So again, I don't know, like having a creative mind, you just deals a lot with the flows just goes, like a roller coaster. So what I would say at first, it's really important to take care of your mind in a way. So as I told you before, everything started very organically. It was very, natural, not with the intention of, oh, I need to get viral, I need to hit 1 million followers or whatever. But after 2020, which what Tim mentioned about, everybody that was not on the social media ended up migrating to social media. So it kind of overcrowded. Plus, we didn't have much things to do. We were just like staying home. And so in my situation, my mindset started to get a little bit weird, in a sense, because all that organically mindset started to change, and then I was like, okay, I have to make videos, and the videos needs to go viral. So my sense of comparison started to develop in a way not very healthy, and it got me to a point of, why am I making this? So I ended up taking a break from social media, and which was really important. So I was 14 months off of Instagram, and by the way, I had the best therapist ever, which my man here next to me, Rick Beato. As soon as I deleted my Instagram account, he was the very first one who called me, and he was like, kid, relax, everything's gonna be fine. So being part of this new generation where it just deals with anxiety so much. So I would say it again, taking care of your mind is so important nowadays. Because again, you have to deal with your own creative process. So trusting about, your guts, about, believing that, okay, this is a great song. I think this is amazing. I'm gonna trust on this. I remember seeing Nono Betancourt on your podcast where he mentioned about More Than Words, because the labels were like, I don't think this is a great song, but he knew it. So I still believe, if you have your own sense of, okay, this is my music, this is why I make this, so this is really important. And when it comes to the AI thing, so Tim mentioned that I'm the new generation, but I don't consider myself part of the new generation anymore, because I've seen like guys, 15-year-old guitar players just going crazy about it. So there is actually a newer generation about it. So what I wanted to say is, I'll have to come back a little bit on the TikTok thing. So Instagram was already like my main sort of investment, and my manager was always telling me, hey, open your eyes about TikTok. TikTok's gonna blow up. And guess what I did? I was more conservative, more closed-minded, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna give a crap about this. No. Instagram is my thing, and that's all it's about. And guess what happened? All the new generation, the young kids, started to just using TikTok. And all that to say, if I had invested in TikTok back in 2018, 19, my social growth would have been like 10 times bigger comparing to how it is nowadays. Because I feel like if you want to start a social media today, for you to develop and grow, the number of followers gets so much harder, because again, you just have way more people now. So same thing works with AI. So I would say we're just like in the first steps of AI. So if I just keep my mindset of like, oh no, this is, I'm just gonna romanticize my creative process, it's just about myself, and forget about the technology, I think I'm gonna suffer the consequences, because I think there's no choice anymore, like the way how things are getting developed, like technology is a reality, and we cannot just pretend, oh no, this doesn't exist anymore. So I think there's beauty about being hybrid, same thing about having a car that has gas, and also you could, have the electric thing on.
So Mattyas plays with Bruno Mars, and he's played with so many artists, but they know of him because they've seen him on the internet. Now, I was having lunch with my friend George the other day, and he said something really interesting. We were talking about AI, and he's like, basically AI is when you have 15 people in the room writing a song. And I was like, yes. I made a video about this Coldplay song recently that had 15 writers on it. It's like 15 writers. I mean, I've seen 10 before. Most of the pop songs in the pop charts will have, more than 3. It's usually the production group, like you got 4 producers, they're co-writers. And then you have like 4 or 5 songwriters. Like, how does anybody make any money on these things, right? So then I was like, wait a minute, so when you have that many people, it's this music by committee, that's basically what AI is. So anytime something new comes out, I have had my friend Aaron that's been working with me on my channel since I started it. 6 months in, he came to do an assistantship from Berkeley. And he's a brilliant programmer and an excellent musician. And Aaron's German, and he's an incredible front-end and back-end coder. And he has, anytime any new platform comes out, any new technology, any changes in any of the platforms, we are on it. I use things like 11 Labs to do voice cloning. Now, I'm not doing this I'm doing this so that nobody clones my voice, so I can own it through there, right? Because you have to do a voice print. And then I use Descript as another AI program that you can put in, and it'll transcribe your video, and although I don't use it, it'll take out all the thes, all the buts, all the whatever, any type of ums, things like that. And I do it just to see how these things are progressing. Now that's not ready to be used yet either. There are so many other AI programs. You hear about ChatGPT, but ChatGPT has a ChatGPT 4 Pro version that's $200 a month. It's incredibly expensive, right? And then there's a new AI thing called Claude that is out there. That's also for it's an LLM, and it's if you try the free one of it, it'll give you, for YouTube titles, for example, if you're thinking of titles, hey, here's my title. Give me 10 more things. My prompt might be that's like a Rick Beato YouTube title. On this topic, this is what the video is about, and I give it all the bullet points. Now give me 10 alternate titles from the one that I have. And I'll put them out there, and sometimes the title that I come up with will be part of that, or maybe it'll have a word that's capitalized. All the letters are capitalized. Ooh, that looks good, right? And so I probably have 7 or 8 AI programs that I use to generate ideas. And that I use every day. Some of them are not like I edit in Final Cut Pro, but Premiere, I also have Premiere too, but Premiere has a thing that in an interview, you can put it in there, it can recognize who's speaking, has all the separate labs, and it'll do a switch, just like it does on Zoom, to the speaker who's talking. It'll do a camera switch. Now, just for me to go through, or my assistant Tom to go through and edit, and just change, as we're talking, I'm talking, Mattyas is talking, oh, camera goes over to him, the close shot, oh, the close shot goes to Tim, goes to Mattyas, whatever comes back to me, goes to the 2 shot because we're cutting something out, whatever. That's incredibly time consuming if you have a 3-hour video, 3-hour interview, just to do that, right? So if your AI program can cut down the time and you go through and take 5 minutes and it does all the camera switches, and then if you don't like what it does, you want to edit stuff out, great. But these things are incredibly helpful to save you time, because what you ultimately want to spend your time on is being creative. And if using AI, don't be afraid of these things. Use the stuff that you can use, just like when you punch in on something because you make a mistake or whatever. Just as an aside, when I interviewed Brian May for my Bohemian Rhapsody breakdown, I don't know if he said this in the video or I think he said it, yeah, that there's one part of Bohemian Rhapsody at the end that he had his whammy bar slightly depressed, and there's a note that's flat. But it makes it sound like the piano's out of tune. And I never noticed it. It's right near the very end of the song. And he fixed it, I think on the movie or something, or they did a 5-1 mix or something. I don't know. There's a thing where it bugged him for 50 years, this one note. Think about all the different things that are in there, all the vocal layers that Freddie Mercury, without auto-tune, sang perfectly, and then all of them together sang. How amazing those things are, but still, as musicians, right, that one little note that's 6 minutes into the song that makes the piano sound like it's out of tune, but it's actually the guitar is slightly flat because he's excellently depressing it. That's the things that you want to save your energy for those things to obsess about. Right, Tim?
Yeah, and I'm a perfectionist, and that slows me down a lot. Rick gives me a hard time for that. So the thing about AI, Rick actually is a really good friend, and he'll say, okay, you need to be using this now. And I've had a lot of success. Here's a little tip. You don't have to be the first guy to use anything. When a new modeler comes out, I wait 6 months, I wait a year, and I might do a video and get excited about it then. I let the other guys fight it out and figure out if it's good or not, and then I jump in a year later. That works. It works, right? Now, at the beginning, Rick talked about how this is the best time for music. Well, we all know it's hard to make money, okay? So you find new ways of making money. For me, it's been in education. I know that's part of your equation. It's part of yours also, but you're a rock star, so you're in a different world. So anyway, and yeah. And you should be.
He is a rock star.
Yeah. So We all have custom audiences. This is the good part, okay? We all have absolutely customized audiences. So whatever you do, you can find an audience. When I started my channel, I was telling an engineer friend of mine, I just wanted to be like, you know, old men on a boat fly fishing. It's like an old man fly fish. And in a sense, my channel is that. You might think it's something different, but my avatar, the people who watch me, for the most part, and it's 98% male, I wish that was a little different, but we'll keep working on that. It's guys who have spent their lives doing a straight job, who had the dream, and always wanted to come back and play guitar. And I love these people, they're wonderful. They're my custom audience, and that audience overlaps with everybody else's. But it's amazing how you can find your tribe. And then the next thing you do is you offer them something that they can pay for that's a very, very high value, and then all of a sudden you're making a living. And the thing I joke about, you know, what Mattyas talks about, your self-image can get really, really damaged by the algorithm not pushing one of your videos. Now, I am ruthless about changing titles and thumbnails if the video doesn't perform well in the first 10 minutes or first hour. And unfortunately, like I used Claude AI to get a great title that had the 10,000 hours. My 10,000 hours of guitar playing that'll transform your life. Nobody clicked on it. So there's this disappointment. If you give somebody something really classy on social media and nobody clicks on it, you have to go, you're an amateur and this will save your life. And then I use F double star CK on the thumbnail, you know, a swear word, and calling you guys amateurs through the roof.
He doesn't mean it, though.
I don't mean it, but it's just a trigger word. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, it's a trigger word that works, and it's worked. You know, anytime I try to save a video, sometimes I have to go into the gutter to do it, and I apologize for that. And people used to complain, and they would go, "Tim, man, you're too good for this. You don't have to stoop that low." You do have to stoop that low, because if you make something that you love and nobody clicks on it, it can devastate you. It really can.
In a way.
Yeah, it can. And then you have to, you know, but the crazy thing about what we do is if I have a video that fails, I've still filled the forum like 4 nights in a row. But you would go, oh God, it failed. It's a danger. So we have to address that. And you know, it's just part of, every job has its ups and downs, every business has its disappointments. You deal with a fair amount of that in this realm.
I just love, you're, opening your, you're just being vulnerable about, okay, this is how it is. And, but I totally relate to this because, again, after 2020, and I know this could sound a little bit intense, but if you're not on social media, the pathway for you might be a little bit longer and harder. So it's very, I would say, mandatory to be, if you're a self-musician, and it's very,
or not to interrupt, or if you have a business,
Yeah.
or if you have a store and you have a music store, not just as a player.
And again, this is just embracing the rules, because again, nowadays we have the algorithm, we have all those little clickbaits and things like that. So we just have to dance according to the song. And same thing to me in a way. But I would always try to, because the reason why I decided to quit social media was because I was losing the essence of why I make music. So I just want to leave this as my last words. Don't forget why you make music. Don't forget why you play guitar or bass or whatever instrument you do. I think that's the most important thing, and I still believe AI is not gonna be able to replace that, because we're still humans, we still have feelings, we still suffer from a breakup or, all the pains of life. So don't forget, we're humans, and we have to understand, even now with all these standards, with all these little cages that I would say, I've been struggling lately about songwriting because I am currently working on my debut album, solo album, and I've done a couple of songwriting sessions with a bunch of songwriters and producers. And again, this is not a sort of algorithm, but it could be in a way in terms of music speaking, because every time I would jump on a songwriting session, I would be like so fresh with, I have all this storytelling with all different key changes and things like that, to a point where a songwriter or a music producer would be like, you know what, let's just keep 4 chords and try to make some magic on this. So this could be also a type of algorithm. So anyways, try to find a good balance of, you remembering the reason why you make music and trusting on, the guts of your feelings of music. I believe in this song. I think this is a great melody. This is a great hook, and I would just go with it. And key changes, why not? So, anyways.
So I want to just on a practical level here, talking about algorithms and things like that. When people say, "Oh, the algorithm is against me," or "I'm being shadow banned," or whatever, I don't even know what that means. The algorithm is against me, or it's not pushing my videos. The algorithm is the audience, okay? If somebody's not clicking on your video, they're not either interested in the topic, they don't like your thumbnail. These are the things, right? Or they go to your video and they watch it and they abandon it. Because the only 3 things that YouTube uses is your click-through rate, meaning what's the percentage of people that click on your video, usually it's from the thumbnail or title. Your audience retention, how long of the video do they watch it? If they watch it more than 50%, YouTube will push it harder. And the audience satisfaction. Some people will hate watch your video, okay? They will disagree with it. They'll watch the whole thing, but their satisfaction is low. YouTube will send out little surveys. I've only gotten 2 ever in all the YouTube videos that I watch, but are you very satisfied? Was this something you're interested in? But they will survey every single video. But the idea that the algorithm is against you on YouTube in particular, I don't know about how the algorithms, people tell me on Instagram, "Oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this," or "Why aren't you posting this?" And it's like, I only do one thing. I post reels, and they get a lot of views typically, and that's, and then I change what I do every, once a year or whatever. I go in a different direction or anything. I used to post guitar content, now I post interview clips and other things like that. And
bring the guitar content again, please.
I'll bring back the guitar content. But the idea that YouTube wants you to have successful videos. All YouTube is interested in is people enjoying the content that they watch and staying on the platform. That's it. It's that simple. So if your videos aren't doing well, it's because people are not interested in what you do, number one, or you're not doing enough of it. You don't have enough videos. They will prioritize people that, I'll push Rick Beato's videos because he's got 1,700 of them. And I made these What Makes This Song Great things. I stopped making them because I stopped being interested in them 3 years ago or so, but there's 115 Songbreak, 115 episodes. And people can binge watch these things. They have hundreds of millions of views. I've had like 2 billion views on my channel. But I keep changing what I do all the time. I've been doing a lot of interviews over the last couple of years. That's kind of what I'm doing now, in addition to the other content I do. So that is, wow, bass travels. So anyway, so that's just my advice on these things. Don't believe the stuff that you hear about this. This is a fact. Click-through rate. Are they interested in your topic or your thumbnail? If your thumbnail looks bad or whatever, not interesting, like literally your head size on there, like if I don't have my face on my thumbnail, people don't know it's my video. That seems to be kind of like a basic thing, but after you get to a certain point, for people to know it's my video. Oh, and the other thing I want to say is when people say negative things about you in the comments or whatever, that's about them. right? People will make videos. If I make some controversial statement or something, people make negative videos, other YouTubers, and put my name in the title so that their videos will get recommended and everything. And people are like, did you see so-and-so's videos? Like, no. And I laugh. Some of these people are friends of mine, and I laugh about it. Because it's funny that you just see other people's takes. And I never take this stuff personally.
That also means you are in a good path because you're being successful.
Right.
Having haters is a sign of like, oh, this guy's doing something successful. You know.
And I have friends that will make a negative video about a video I make, and then they'll text me, hey, did you see my video? I was like, yeah, it was awesome. Literally. That's true.
Yeah, and Rick taught me early on, never engage, and then it just disappears and it's gone. Yeah, I mean, you want to fight with people, but you never engage. Coming to NAMM is the greatest thing for us because we get to meet people who really appreciate what we do, and you guys are amazing and wonderful and smart, and there's nothing better than talking to all of you, and that's why we're here. We're here to meet you guys. And I'm incredibly grateful for this second life that I have, and incredibly grateful for all of you. So I'll close with that. We're getting to the edge.
Same here. Yes, so we're going to conclude. I want to conclude with this. I'm going to be 63 in April. I had open heart surgery 6 months ago. I'm fine. I had a valve repaired. And I didn't start YouTube till I was 54 years old. Okay? So this is my 9th year. 54. Never made a video before. Never was on camera. And when I was a producer, I never let anyone film me. I'm like, no, don't film me. You can't film me. People like, want to film anything else in the studio? Whatever, don't film me. I'm not going to interview you. And I never had my picture taken with any of the bands that I worked with, ever. I just didn't want to be known. I don't want anyone to know me. I don't want people to know what I did or whatever. I don't want to be part of it. When I played on a record, I played on every record I produced. I never put my name on it as a player because to me it wasn't important. All that's important is the music that people create, and I never wanted it to be about me. And then I got on YouTube and. Anyway, so I want to thank you guys for all. Thank you, Mattyas. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for coming out